Okay, guys, welcome to the spoiler section. There is a lot to cover here. It is a longer film. I'm sure there's an edit, a 4-hour edit of just part one. I know he's got it planned out to part two. He's even said he wants to do a trilogy. But I'm a little confused. Does he mean trilogy in the fact that each film will be broken into 2 parts, so he actually means 6 films, or does he mean 3 films? And knowing Zack, it's probably 6 films. It's like 19 hours of content or whatever. And if he could be given that and fully realize it, I think by the end, maybe the scores could rise. And you could maybe 6 out of 10 or something. We'll go in the spoiler section and play out the plot how we think it might play out. We'll do that at the end. But let's jump into the film. So I think the strongest part of the film is the opening, even though there is some exposition dumps and sappy music and story and dialogue that it's like really forcing core on you quite hard. But other than that, it's strong because we get the Rebel Moon logo. We pan down. The shot is beautiful. They got good music. It's swelling. She does some weird thing with smelling the dirt. I'm like, what are you doing? You're doing fucking Gladiator. Stop it. She's grabbing the dirt. She's about to eat it. And I'm like, this manure. You manure because it's whatever. The music swells, and a guy comes out. He's like, hey, come join us. And this is supposed to be her actual maybe love interest. He likes her, but she's instead fucking some other guy because they there's a tradition where they have to have sex for the harvest to work better. So she has sex with a different guy.
Because she doesn't feel that she deserves love.
All right.
And she loves
so she loves
Gunner,
this other guy. She doesn't feel she deserves Gunner.
But she bangs the other guy.
So she bangs another guy. Woman got needs, all right? I guess. But it's so weird because I didn't know that guy's name, and so I thought his name was Den or Gunner. I didn't know their names. So it's just filmed awkward where you don't even know that the bearded guy is supposed to be like her kind of partner in this community. But I guess they're purposefully separated because it's just convenient. Anyways, so I just think it was a little weirdly, set up. Then we get the sappy dialogue where she's, clearly as a 2 years ago she was saved from a burning ship, and she tries to integrate into this community. Yeah. So she's closing her blinds. I don't know why, because you can see right through her blinds, and then she goes on this
mosquitoes and shit.
Speech about how what, Alex? She gives a speech about how she doesn't deserve.
She doesn't. Yeah, she's done horrible things. Hope was beaten out of her. Love was beaten out of her, and she didn't deserve any of those things. And the old guy, instead of like going and give her a hug or something, he's like, "Cool, good night."
Yeah,
and it's like, "Oh, okay, cool."
And then she's like, "You need some rest." I'm like, "Why? Why does he need rest?" And he doesn't even need rest. He puts his foot up and he reads a book.
So both Dario Naharis are in this. So Gunner is the replacement Dario, and then the Admiral was the original Dario.
That's right. The Game of Thrones things are in this. So, and then we have the arrival of the Imperium. Mother World.
The King.
Space Nazis.
King's
Space
Gaze
Nazis
shows up.
And this scene here, really cool. This actor, Ed, does an amazing job as this, like, you can feel the danger. You can feel the fake sort of, come receive the king's and the slain king's embrace. Yeah. And their tradition is to hug. But, this motherfucker's going to kill us. This is just juicy. And I was getting encouraged. And I can see how people are like, I'm liking this.
Yeah.
I will like the rest of this no matter what.
Yeah, the start was the best part of the...
Yeah. But so that's fucking great. And then, but it turns out, the father who leads the community lies to him because, these are brutal people. And it's we don't have a supply or surplus. And he's like, but you have such fertile land here. And he feels like he's lied to. And then this motherfucking Gunner speaks up because he's an opportunist. He's like, he thinks, no, they'll pay us 3 times the amount of it. Let's be nice to these people.
And he's also been doing trades behind everyone's back, too.
With the rebels, who these people are looking for simultaneously. So he speaks out of turn, and it creates the drama. And it's a great scene. Reminds me of Christopher Waltz in Inglourious Basterds and these kinds of things, where he's like, oh, so who is this man that's speaking, you know? And you think that he's going to punish him for speaking out of turn, even though he said something that benefits him. That's how fucked up they are. But no, he turns around and he executes father and basically scares the whole community into servitude. And it says, have my bushels of food ready, because his army's been out here a little bit longer trying to find these rebels. So he's running out of food or whatever. And he says, you need to give me. And he's like, give me not 10,000. It's like, but we only make 12,000. So how is it's like we're going to starve? Like, I don't care. 9 weeks. So that was great. So he leaves behind a small contingent of soldiers and flies back up to the ship. Though I've seen previously in the ship, there's like 20 ships, and they only bring down 3, and then they leave behind 7 guys, just enough guys that Cora can realistically maybe kill. Anyways, so these people that they leave behind, the Imperial Guard soldiers, and they're just shitty fucking people. And I can see, again, this fits into the 40K universe. The one guy's a fucking rapist, one guy's a bully. It is a little cheesy that, like, one guy is like, aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper? The second he sees a little girl with the water, he's like falls in love, and he, like, it's whatever. But you have these sort of stereotypes. So we have one good guy on the Imperial Guard team. Well, they open up a little box, and it's a robot. And I was like, oh, this is fucking sweet. And it's Anthony Hopkins. I was like, oh, man, that voice is fucking great. I cannot wait to see this character participate and turn and have scenes and do slow-mo and cover people up. He's not in the film.
But not the other one. The soldier, he's like, you have to turn in the subtitles.
Oh, yeah. The soldiers.
What the fuck did he say?
The soldiers, I couldn't understand what they were saying. We needed to turn subtitles on because they were speaking. I think they were speaking a weird language, number one, but then they also had really thick accents, and so I had to turn the subtitles.
Somebody, Jimmy is like, he said,
they lifted Jimmy for us. That's what they refer to the robots as, and
they go back, like multiple times.
Yeah, and like I said, the early stuff, it's very Seven Samurai. It's very easy to execute. It's a Western, so it leans on the elements that work. Star Wars, very famously, was Gunsmoke and taking elements of Westerns. So this works. And they decide, well, now we need to fight back. First, I'm sorry. The little girl of the village is getting water, and these guys are about to take advantage of her. And they pull her to a barn, and our heroine
was about to leave because it's like, no, this village already lost, but she cannot let this injustice go down. So she goes over there, grabs an axe, and we have our first action scene. And I was like, by the end of the action scene, after she takes out everybody, gets a little bit of help from the one soldier. By the way, I did like how the soldier's like, no, I can't let this go down. He tries to fight, but he's taken out because everybody's an asshole except for him. Yes. And even the commander's like, first, I'm going to split this sapling first, then you can have her. It's like, Jesus, guys. And it's good because you want these people to die, and that's exactly what happens. Action scene, boom, boom, boom. She kills everybody. Not too much, though.
I liked it.
Just a little bit.
But they fucked it up.
Yes.
How did they fuck it up?
Because their weapon is set to stun.
Their weapon is set to loud and flashy. Yeah. Because you could see her in the background. There's slow-mo where the guys in the foreground are getting their weapons as she's killing dudes in the background. And you'll see she puts the gun under the fucking asshole that started the whole goddamn rape thing. I'm like, yes! Get him!
Explosion!
Boom! She hits the shot. You see the muzzle flash. Nothing happens.
Yeah. He lays down. He's like...
And then there's a reverse shot, and you can see his chin is fine. His head is fine. Nothing exits. There's no exit wound. There's no explosion. And these are straight bolter guns. When they fire, it's perfectly done. And Warhammer 40,000 in live action needs to look at these muzzle flashes and kind of borrow elements from it because the sound, the thing, it's so much impact. But when you see that, it immediately removes that the sense of of realness, and your disbelief is shattered. And you're like, what the fuck?
About 2 seconds before that happened, I was like, I'm done. Like, I don't think
Why?
So she's shooting people because she's very, very competent, and she's done nothing stupid. And then she shoots like the gun out of this guy's hand, and instead of shooting him, she jumps into his arms. And, like, gets all the way. She's the only one with a gun, by the way. Yeah. And she jumps into his arms.
She's doing the monkey karate and stuff.
She's doing dumb stuff. Like, they're doing it because they're like, oh, it looks cool.
The slow-mo.
Yeah, in slow-mo, of course.
So they could get that shot of the guy flipping over and cracking his head. It was kind of an awkward angle, too. And so it wasn't framed very well because you're like, oh, I see what's happening here, but it's not as beautifully shot as like 300 where you see all the bodies, in perfect
or that warehouse
symmetry.
That warehouse scene with Batman and Batman v Superman. It's like, hey man, let's get that scene with Cora, and then we're having a really, really good time, but instead, whatever.
And previously, these soldiers were mean to the fucking robot. They're like, for some reason, the lore is that these robots were serving the king and princess, and when they were slain, the robots had no purpose to fight, and so they laid down their arms, and they have not murdered or killed. They're just worker robots now. Doesn't make sense in the world because it's like somebody created the robots. These robots are probably being maintained at some point, and you can program them, the people who built them. But whatever. So whatever.
Turn off your goddamn brain.
But no, I'll allow it because it's like, okay, it's the world you're building. Maybe it was AI, and they were given their own autonomy, and they were given their own AI, and given their own rights.
And it's
whatever. Doesn't make sense for the mothership Imperium, but whatever.
Yeah, this is something that
it does create an interesting thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's totally interesting, and this is the kind of thing that it's talking about here. It's dumb as shit. Totally will allow Snyder to have that kind of
look at that
because
there's
totally
something
works.
That's dumb and we're praising.
Yeah, because it totally works, and it's a believable thing. It's a trope that's implemented fairly well, and so it's like there's parts of this thing that he's borrowing again from better writers, and that stuff works. So it's not like that's the kind of thing that we know is stupid that's pulling me out of the movie. It's all of the other stuff.
So the soldiers are cruel to this robot, just shooting it, pushing it around. The commander, I thought, was going to be kind, but he turned out to be a rapist, too, because he was like, go wash yourself off in the lake. And I'm like, why would a robot need to wash dirt off? He can't operate when he's dirty.
He had doo-doo on his face.
No, he had dirt on him, mud on his face.
It was shit. The horse shit, and they pushed him into it. Yeah.
So it was horse shit. That's why he was washing himself off. And we get a scene of this kind girl, and it reminds him of the princess. Yeah. And so he tells the story, and then she makes a little head read for him and shows love and kindness. And she says, all of those things that you think you lost are still within you, kind of thing. And holds his, and it lights up, and I'm like, that's cool. I like the potential of this, and it kind of gives him epiphany. And later on in this action scene, after she's murdered all the soldiers, he comes running in to see what the commotion is, and the commander has the girl that showed kindness to the robot, and he's like, kill everybody, I give you the order. And so he picks up the gun where he's not even really holding it correctly because he's like, I don't want to use this. And then he pulls the trigger and it perfectly kills the guy because it's a fucking robot that's badass. And then after he does that, he drops it and runs. I love it. It's so cool. I'm like, please have the camera follow him. I want this whole movie
to be
like
crying.
I wanted this whole movie to be about the robot and not about Cora and all these other boring ass people and the robot rebellion and shit, and maybe making this new girl their queen, but whatever. So what's next?
Then,
at that point, they're like, "Go ahead, we have to
then
fight."
the fight is over, and then she's like, "Hey, we have to fight. I have to go find the 7 people that we need to defend." And so she enlists Gunner, the one that she's got feelings for, and has feelings for her, because he had been selling excess grain to the rebels. So they go off to.
Oh, but before they go off, let me address that her surrogate father kind of figure that's taking care of her. Says, here, I found this in the wreckage, and I just didn't want to give you it. He was like, what has he said? It was the stupidest thing.
It might have been dangerous.
This guns, I found this gun, but I didn't give it to you because it might have been dangerous or something like that.
Yes.
And he gives it to her. And then I also asked myself, what if the father just agreed to the original deal?
Like, because the Lord Commissar was being so kind and said whatever you can spare and things like that. And he said, yes, we have some, but we'll give you, we'll take a little bit of sacrifice ourselves. We'll give you half. Do you think that the Imperial guy would have been like, okay?
No, the last line he says is they're like, hey, we only make 12,000. He's like, well, then I want 12. I want all of it. Yes. And so because he like establishes I am evil.
So whether he lied to her or not, he was going to fuck him up anyway. Okay. So, yeah. So I also said, why choose this tiny village and not that port city? There's probably so many more resources and so much more food at the port city.
Go direct to the source.
So I don't know. Yeah. They're going to the source. Okay, so that was that scene. Then they get together. They go to the port village, which is much bigger, and they go into a bar scene. So, again, easy to execute. This is a Western. This is still working for me at this point, right? And they got this cool bartender with candles on his shoulders. I love this design. It looks like art in 40K.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem, well, for that guy, I feel bad for him. Like, how does he go to sleep? Good night. Mm-hmm. And then candles everywhere. He can't roll over. Really? But that's what I was thinking about during the movie. I was like, that looks cool, but how does he go to bed?
Right. He's a robot, Joe. He probably doesn't go to sleep. But I just love the character designs. Like, man, this is so cool. Would I allow Zack Snyder to touch 40K since he's getting some of these things correct?
For the visuals,
and it's
maybe?
Like, maybe as a cinematographer only, but I think at this point his pure fucking hubris would not allow him to go back to just being a cinematographer. He would have to be in control and directing. Anyways, so...
And then we get an alien come up to Gunner and say, hey, let's have sex.
Yeah.
He's like, no, man, I'm good.
Well, because they're in a brothel.
Like, no, we are going to fuck. And then she has to defend Gunner and fight all the people in the bar.
Slow-mo.
Slow-mo fight. But this slow-mo, again, it's like slow-moing in the wrong areas. And it's like there's slow-mo where... And in a flashback, before they go to the city, they do the scene out in the Great Wilds near the campfire, and she's explaining her backstory, and that was beautiful. Like that again, another good moment. Yeah. So maybe am I going up on my rating here as a guard? Four, maybe done. To a 5.
We're still like 20 minutes in.
All right, yeah, that's true. So this is just pure Imperial Guard. She plants the fucking flag. She has this battle. They mentioned this stupid academy thing where you're supposed to find somebody that you love, and I'm like, no, because people would probably be insubordinate. They'd ignore the battle as their partner's dying. Which she was doing. But this is what they want. They wanted that fervor of you killed me, and then you go into battle. But there's no tactics involved there. Anyway, so tactically she charges into battle, and this is what I'm talking about, the slow-mo. The very first slow-mo that they do, I'm expecting 300 right here. The very first slow-mo they do, nothing is happening. She takes a step.
It was a slow step.
It wasn't even like a cool shot. The one guy got hit in the back, but his head was already off screen, so you couldn't see anything. And when they slowed it down, it was already 13. over there. So, yeah. But then as they speed it up, and then there's maybe one good moment as things are flying by, and then they do it again, and she fires, and it looks cool because it's the bolter flash, but it's all just visuals, and it's just not, there's no substance.
The style over substance.
The style over substance is right there. Because, like, that's Zack. Zack thinks anytime he goes to battle, like, that happens so much in this film. Like, but it's slowed down, so you don't get the you get the... and in the final battle, what does she do?
Slap.
Anyways, so then we do that. We get that backstory. Okay, we meet people one by one. So we meet Kai in a bar. After she beats up everybody, he helps her by shooting a guy in the back in the head that had a bead on her. And he says, "Hey, I'm an opportunist. I'm going to join you. Here's my ship. Let's go." And the first she's like, all right, just come join us. There's obviously something with Kai later. Joe's like, oh, this guy, I forgot he was in the film. By the way, he has to have a thick accent as well. But I like this accent, so it's like, dude. Then they go to the dude riding a griffin. It was stupid.
It was a ridiculous premise.
This was a Star Wars one.
It felt like John Carter from Mars here, CGI. They're doing the Indian thing. The Indian connecting with nature and animals and breaking in a horse. And they're like, oh, we heard this guy fought. He hates the Imperium. I mean, mothers. He hates the mother's ship. Mother Worlds.
Mother Worlds.
And then he's like, well, he's in indentured servitude to me. He owes me a lot of money. And I was like, how much does he owe you? $300,000. And it's like, okay, well. And then he's just volunteer. I'll let him go. What? Okay.
He's like, we don't have that kind of money. Well, I'm a gambling man. I was like, oh, my God. This
so he's like, if he can break that griffin outside, then he can go. If he can't, all of y'all are now my slaves, which it's stupid, too. No, that would never work.
I leaned over to Joe. I was like, this is a pod racing scene. Like, well, he's free now. Bet's a bit.
Yeah. And so then we get the same old, we get this slow-mo thing as he shows that he's like, oh, you are a long way from home, and so am I. So we have this mutual respect for each other, and he bows in front of it, and it doesn't kill him. And it allows him to ride, but as he's riding, they see something. I was like, oh, whoa, what is it going to be? Something majestic? No, the griffin sees the side of a cliff where he can knock him off. And so he slams him into the side of the cliff and this little platform so that he can roll there. But he doesn't give up, gall darn it. And he does, and he goes and he jumps on it again, and they do the slow-mo. And this is a shot that's cool, but it's like, it's empty.
But it is, because like, I think it would have been a lot cooler if you didn't overutilize the slow-mo so goddamn much.
Right, yeah.
Make it like some epic scene like this, and be like, all right,
and
that's cool.
I noticed when it first took off, and it goes, and the music swells as if it's like it reminded me of Man of Steel. The music and the swelling and the people reacting, and then the thing and the happiness. All right. So that was that guy. Then
well, I think this scene would have worked. That scene would have worked better if he tried to train it and it didn't work out, and then they all get captured. and
then they have to do something creative.
Yes,
play for laughs.
Play for laughs. Like,
I laughed. I cried. That reviewer.
Where did you laugh?
These are paid
This
sales.
was not funny. I didn't cry. There was no emotional moments.
Joe, Alex proved that HBO goes around and hires people, so maybe Netflix does the same.
HBO just straight up admitted it.
But I think that would have been a lot funnier. It's like, all right, well, it didn't work out. Now
I would have laughed.
Yes, exactly. I was like, finally, somebody does it, and then they escape in some creative way.
Yes,
bam,
perfect.
done. That would have been cooler.
So again, she also does another flashback to when she was a child, and she does this story where this guy is this greatest general. He revels in battle. He leads his troops from the front.
The Thanos story.
He loves battle. Yes, the Thanos story. And there's just a random girl. Who family he killed, and then he just saves her. Well, she actually shoots him in the face, but for some reason the gun is empty.
All the guns with ammo are green, and hers is empty. But she's a child and doesn't know.
So he spares her life, and trains her, and that's how she jumps into the army and stuff. Anyways, all this stuff, by the way, like I said, PG-13, there's no blood, it's bloodless, there's, and shit doesn't happen when shit is supposed to happen.
Then we go to the Nemesis.
Yeah, so then we go to the spider lady. Well, I wanted to say that Belisarius, I guess I have his name right. Having that actor so young is a mistake in that flashback scene. Just recast it with an older actor because that was a long time ago. Instead, they choose to keep the same actor, put this ridiculous beard on him, spray paint some Halloween Party City fucking gray hair spray on him.
That stuff's hard to use.
And he's the regent, and he looks ridiculous. It looks stupid, and I hated it. Anyway, so then we do the spider lady scene. So somebody take this, because this is just stupid.
I mean, they go to a really cool looking world.
This is like a different film. Or something.
Yeah, like I honestly, I love the idea of like really overly populated hive city, and there's millions upon millions of people stacked together. The world is pure industry and misery. And
Alex did say, "Oh, look, it's Hive World for 40K."
Because again, it's just like he's just taking stuff from better stuff, and he's like, "It's mine now." It's like, no, it is not. Well, then they go down there and they meet a lady that has lightsabers but doesn't use them until. Her name is Nemesis, and she's very cool, and she plays the character. We learn this way later on, though. She plays the character that is a mother who lost her children, and so she is avenging, helping other mothers get their children. We learn this at the very end of the movie. Yeah. The very end of the movie.
So a lot of the context and the tension is not there.
It's not there, so we don't know anything about this lady. We discover when the fight is pretty much over that her swords are lightsabers, if you forgot from the trailer. And she's fighting a techno spider that has wires for webs.
A sentient spider, too, by the way.
With boobs, because spiders have boobs.
And milk tits. Yes. They feed their spiders with milk.
Yeah, and so she goes to fight the spider because the spider has captured this little girl, and the mother wants her girl back, and so she goes in there. No one helps this woman, by the way.
Everybody's watching.
Yeah, they're just watching this woman fight this giant spider that's stealing children from the city.
We need to see her skills.
Honestly, I was on the side of the spider because the spider actually says, like, "All you're on my planet. You're killing my children, and I'm just taking one." I was with the spider lady the whole way. I was like, "Fuck this lady."
Yeah.
And then she's doing this stupid shit, and then she cars the fucking ground. It's like, this is all for visual garbage, and it's just fucking dumb.
And then
it's supposed to be cool, and in a different angle, it's cool. But from the angle that we got presented to it, it's stupid.
And then as she gets recruited, she's like, "Remember, we don't do this for revenge because revenge is bad." And the very next scene, they recruit was it Jimon Hansu, who should not be in this movie. And he's just like, he's the drunk general.
Well, I'm not gonna help y'all.
Do
it for revenge.
He's like, I'm drunk and I'm sad and I'm a general and no one wants me and I'm filthy. And then this woman starts washing him, which is like, what a role to get cast in. It's like, you have one line and you're gonna wash this.
He's got a garden hose and she's a bather.
She's spraying him off, and then he's like, I don't want to do it, and she's like, well, do it for revenge. And he's like, fuck it. That's all you had to say.
Excuse
fucking
me,
revenge. He's like, hey, didn't I tell you?
I said no revenge.
We just did the revenge. We just said no revenge. Next scene, let's go revenge.
Everyone has their own
so
motive.
disconnected. It feels like Art Station, where like you see these concept artworks and they're realized and they're amazing. That's what I like. But there's no substance. And when you do that, and when you're taking it so serious, and when you're thinking like, this is really cool, right? And you know, as a critic, and you've seen so many other things, you're like, no. But the mass audience is like, yeah, I've never seen this before. It's great.
Well, so like the general type is Jimon Hansu. He's this. When we're told at the end of the movie that he's a genius military tactician, again, we have to be told this. He's on a Coliseum planet. He's clearly like a gladiator of some sort. Wouldn't it have been awesome?
Completely cut out.
He would just be sitting there telling what they're like, oh, exactly, do the thing from Gladiator. It's like, hey, they single column. They lose this fight, and it's just like, no, let's figure out a way and then show his genius. Like, we have to recruit that guy, and he's like, no, I don't do this anymore. But
instead,
we did none of it.
He's laying on the ground. A alien CGI thing smells him and throws up, and then he runs off. And then they bathe him, and they say, "Join us."
That was the cry.
Oh, that was the laughing and the crying. Is that the one? His masterpiece from that 5-star reviewer. So then they wash him off. They say, "Join us." He says no, and then she says, "Do it for revenge." And he's like, "Okay."
Shit, that's all you had to say.
That was the end of the scene. I was like, "Damn, they didn't give that guy any time." He didn't have a spider to kill. He didn't have a mother to kill.
Yeah,
or a griffin to tame or anything.
Like, come on.
He's the best of the out of all the actors. Like, he's the one I like the most.
Yeah. And, you know, before they left on this whole fucking journey, the guy's like, we could fight them. You know, we'll get an army. And it's like, okay, now we could get a general and an army. And I'm like, but it's a dreadnought. It'll just bombard you.
Nuke you from orbit.
The orbit. And it'll send fighters down and you'll die. And so this general never mentions on how they're going to do that because they never do any general thing. So that's part 2, yeah. He will get his moment in part 2, obviously. So, yeah, then we do a flashback to a princess. It turns out not only was she a badass warrior and the daughter of a most esteemed general, but he sent her away to the royal guard, and she ends up the personal guard of the princess. And the princess has a dog who runs into the forest and kills a bird.
It's a Canis Corso. That's a beautiful dog.
Like a cat. The dog is acting like, I'm just going to kill a bird. Or it found a dead bird maybe and put it in its mouth and brought it to her. And she heals it. She has healing powers. And it's revealed that she has healing powers. And she's like,
there's these stories that she could do these things, and I never believed them. But I've seen things I cannot explain, and then a overly lens flare that I think is in my graphics package. it appears, and she, and it's all in slow mo to make it more poignant. But yeah, okay. And then we get the slow mo cape putting on, and that we laughed at, the slow mo drinking coffee, slow mo pouring milk in, slow mo putting in sugar,
slow mo getting the mail.
And then we go to the Lord Commissar, who is now wearing a business suit and a tie. He meets with the mercenaries, who brings him the informant who originally could tell people where the Blood Axes crew were, and he kills him. And so now they've immediately ruined the aesthetic, and I'm like, no, get that stupid black tie out and put him back in the Lord Commissar.
They only did it once, so that's good.
Yeah,
but he wore it the rest of the movie.
They did this Levitica meeting scene where there's a king, and he's an alien king, and he's got a whole planet, a whole kingdom. And he's got forces, and he's generous. And Cora meets him, and he doesn't make it seem like he's the king, but he's really the king. And then she says, thank you, and then they leave. And then later on, first the Blood Axes show up, and they're being helped also by King Levitica. And they drop that he's been kind to them. So here's where everybody meets up. So the Blood Axes show up with all their ships and all their men. This is the army that they're supposed to acquire after they got these individual badasses. Yeah. So Cora immediately screams at them. Just starts screaming at them. And then the dude walks up to Gunner. I see. I will join. I will go with you. Then he turns around and gives a hollow speech to his men to join.
Yeah. You didn't like it?
No.
Ray Fisher was great.
I didn't even know that was Ray Fisher.
Yeah, he was.
And they killed that man off, too. Why are you going to kill him off in the first movie? Man can't catch a break.
Oh, I know.
We're in the spoilers.
I know.
The way he went out was so
and
stupid.
it was so stupid. So then he's giving this stupid hollow speech to these stupid people that we don't care about, and he's stupid and I don't care about it. And Cora's stupid for yelling at him to try to get him to join. And the speech she gave was stupid, and everything's stupid. And then a stupid lady comes out from the group, and then Joe goes, "God damn, how much was the budget for the eyeshadow?" And this
not even the budget.
movie.
Like in the world, it's like, all right, well, who's got the eyeshadow today? I'm running low.
On eyeshadow, everyone puts eyeshadow on. So the stupid lady comes out with eyeshadow on, and she's like, and he's like, it's like, who the fuck is this? Apparently, this is a main character. So in the last 20 minutes of the film, they introduced this fucking lady. No, I don't know her name.
She's one of the Magnificent Seven, by the way, and we don't know.
No, she cannot be.
She is.
That's so fucking stupid.
Well, we see at the end of the movie, she's one of the Magnificent. She's one of the 6 people that live.
Stupid.
Only 6 people live.
It's Ray Fisher and his sister, so they're in charge of these, and Darius, I guess, is his name, and yeah. So, but this scene is also so simultaneously. This scene, they do a flashback. Or no, they don't do the flashback. I'm sorry. Instead, Cora screams at him. The guy goes, "Yeah, I'll join you." And then, then that random person comes out. And then OJ asks how much to send. Okay, and then we do a scene of Kai, and he goes, "I had honor once, and I'll fight for you," says Kai. And I'm like, but he's like, "First, I got to get rid of my life of thievery. I got some cargo I need to drop off." And Joe was like, "Why is this guy helping?" I'm like, "Joe, this is clearly the scene where he's setting up the betrayal." And so then they go to this other planet. He drops off the cargo, but it turns out Kai betrayed them. They did have a cool flashback scene to, the alien king was dealt with. The alien king is killed, and his whole kingdom is destroyed in the background by that one dreadnought and some fighters. And they raised the entire planet, they said.
Each one of the shots look like little nukes.
The visuals are awesome. There's flames, and like the CGI people get to go crazy and look at all this cool shit. But it's like we didn't get to see any of it. And then at the same time, why are you raising the planet? There are probably a ton of technology, a ton of resources, and food that you say you need, and you're just raising the whole fucking planet. But I guess at this point, they don't care about the bushels anymore.
They're just so mad because they were helping the Blood Axes.
Right.
So they're like, fuck you, we're going to destroy you.
So then they do. Kai betrays them, and he shows up. These boxes are really containing the Scorpion bounty hunter capture machines, which puts them in a cocoon and disables everyone. And here comes the Imperium, and they start talking shit, and they do exposition for each
this is what
person.
we finally
Here's where we find out who these people really are.
He tells us everything.
It's 20 minutes. It's an hour and 50 minutes into the movie. We find out the backstories of all of our characters, and we're like, we didn't know any of this shit
through him.
And the characters never had an opportunity to talk to each other.
Yes.
And develop any sense of rapport, so we do not care what is happening on the screen. Anyways, so why do I say that? Because this next scene is Darius's great fucking slow-mo battle scene. Well, first, so everybody's captured, he's talking shit, and then he says, I've got a job for you. Kai is the one that wants Garrus, the farmer, to murder Cora.
No, paralyze everyone.
Paralyze everybody with the paralyzation gun, but in the other thing, it kills them. It killed that one guy.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a kill shot, but he just wants a paralyzation shot.
They're too dangerous.
But it didn't make any sense. It looked like a kill shot. The animation that plays out is it would break your spine. Whatever. So he does it. He connects it. I'm not even sure why he connects it.
Because it was a ruse.
And then he releases it. But what?
So what you didn't see is this guy is actually very fast, and even though there's guns pointed at all of these people, and Kai is standing behind him,
Gunner, the farmer.
The farmer. Yeah, he's very fast.
Knows
I want to make
nothing
sure
about this
he's
stuff,
a
right?
farmer.
He's very
So
He
what
fast.
does he
doesn't know
do?
about this technology, right?
He's a farmer.
And he doesn't know about the technology. So how does he know that by pressing a
'Cause he was
button, there's a
fast.
different button to press that releases? Because what happens is he releases them instead of killing them.
Yeah.
How?
Oh, because Zack Snyder wrote it that way.
Yeah.
But how is the unit? There's a capture unit, and you're telling me the same button that kills them or paralyzes them releases them?
Maybe there's a big release button at the bottom of the thing that says also stun everyone who's watching because they would all immediately be dead.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
Okay, so
Star Wars for grown-ups.
So he's super fast. He does the release, and what happens?
and then Cora is free, but she runs away.
So they would have immediately shot her there if not for Zack Snyder's slow-mo. So it goes into Zack
But
Snyder's
again-
slow-mo.
She's not in slow-mo.
And she's
They're
dodging.
in slow-mo, but she can move quickly through it.
But if I was the admiral, she takes off. I'm like, oh, fuck these guys. Pop, pop,
That's
pop,
what I
pop,
thought.
pop, pop.
That's exactly
What do you
what
think?
I
He's
thought.
a space Nazi? He's not that
Everyone
evil.
shoots at Cora and Cora only, and everybody else is like, "Oh
It's
fuck!"
like firing. Everyone is like in the crosshairs, like, oh god, I'm stuck here. Hopefully, he
it
doesn't
would have
shoot
been
me.
over with.
Yes.
And I was done. I was done at that
I
point
was thinking-
when
I
all
was
the
like,
soldiers,
fucking
all
shoot
50
them.
soldiers, are trying to fire at her.
Or do something to cause distraction, like separate them. But at the same time, just like, well, they're
So
right
then,
in front of you.
how did the other people get released? Gunner
She
goes-
eventually steals a gun from somebody, and she shoots a red barrel. And then it explodes. There's a big explosion which causes enough time.
and then another
Later
secondary
on,
explosion.
Yeah.
Later
Enough
on.
explosions, basically, that Zack needed to create enough chaos to release the rest of the people.
And so Gunner's running around freeing everybody. Ray Fisher murders Kai. And then the dumbest thing that happens in like this 5-minute period of time is Ray Fisher grabs a spear, and there's a giant fucking firefight happening on this really narrow bridge, and he just starts a running.
That's what I wrote.
And he
I
just
was
fucking
like,
starts, and everyone's dying around him, and he's like, he pushes a dude out of the way once, but
It
he's not.
does not make any sense
He has a giant gun, by the way.
for
Like,
how he just runs past everyone.
Yeah.
You even see guys in the background firing bolts at random people in the distance instead of shooting.
well, they
him.
also borrowed the the stormtrooper aim from Star Wars here in this because no one can hit shit.
It's
and
called
then,
PA.
And then he
plot
runs,
armor.
and then he does a rain of fire bullshit thing where he jumps off a ledge, and he's jumping to a shuttle.
He's
ship.
jumping to no. The credits say that ship is
Ah,
the
yeah.
King's
Show-
Gate.
I know, but
show
the
it.
King's Gate is
So
just-
either the subtitles are wrong,
I think
and this is a shuttle ship with different guns. But then they show this one shot where the ship is like this, and it was putting its booty forward so that the turret can then shoot.
Yeah.
It looks so weird. I don't know what's happening. But anyway, all we know is that there's a turret that's a threat that's shooting people.
Yeah.
And so Darius has to go turn it off.
Ray Fisher, what's his name? The Blood Axe.
Darius.
Is his name is Darius?
Yes.
Darian.
Oh. Well, I guess
Darius gets shot. And
so there's Darian, because like there's three Dariuses in this movie. Darian runs and he jumps off the thing and he's gonna stab this dude, and the dude sees he's gonna stab him in the head, and then he moves.
And the last minute he goes like that, and Joe bursts out laughing.
Because
it's like that is exactly what you wanted to happen in these situations.
I bursted out laughing because the guy's like, it stabs, takes out his gun, shoots him. He's like, I was like, what a fucking idiot.
But the guy stops shooting him, and so he pulls his spear out, and then he stabs him.
And then he manages to stab him again. But it's played like this massive heroic thing, and it's so slow, and Ray Fisher's eyes, and it's just so melodramatic when there's no tension. We don't care about him. We don't care about them. We don't care about nothing.
He has a gun that's this big. I mean, it's huge.
But if you care about all these characters, that's probably why you think it's a masterpiece, right? Because everything is working for you then.
How can you care about these characters? You don't know
We don't know
anything till the
they got
end.
eyeshadow, Joe. Blue eyeshadow. That's why.
It's true.
I care about his design.
Cool. As Blood Axe is dying, the entire he's in a little turret. This is just a little side turret. It looks like a polyp sticking to the side of the ship. But apparently this turret also has the main controls for the entire ship inside. Because as he dies, he touches this thing, and then
touches a button or a
the
lever.
entire ship falls over.
The entire ship slams onto the platform, thus cutting off one section from the next, but not before fucking Cora can get another slow-mo scene, another dumb 1 out of 10 in comparison to 300, so she can slide under it and then be one-on-one with the boss, the noble, the admiral. And then they jump from that platform onto another buoy platform that's even smaller, and they have a fist fight. And the punch sounds are fantastic on my sound system. They hit hard. But when you see it, it's like, that wouldn't have hurt you. I don't know. It was one of the worst choreographed fight scenes on a
it was a small platform,
floating. Shut the fuck up!
Okay.
She's got a weapon, and they could have done it in a way where she takes his staff. She actually has like a big metal thing on the end of a rope. And they could have done a bunch of stuff.
It's the final battle.
But she runs up and she's like punching him, and it just doesn't look good, and it doesn't sound good.
I even saw one punch. Nobody taught her how to punch. She does like this mantis thing.
Well, and then it makes it even sillier because sometimes he gets hit and then he's like explodes backwards. Like, this is just a joke.
Yeah. So, anyways, that was the final fight on the buoy platform, and out of nowhere, so they're continuing to fight elsewhere. Out of nowhere, the Indian guy comes. I don't know his name. The fucking mystical dude.
Prince something.
And he's a prince, apparently, because we got his backstory last minute. Tarak goes, they gave their lives for us. And he starts to do this speech thing. I'm like, what are we doing? Am I supposed to care?
Yes, because 30 seconds ago, it was explained to you that this is the prince of a kingdom, that his entire tribe was wiped out mercilessly by the homeworld. And because of that, he's been on a lifelong vengeance cycle against them. They just told you that. And
then why was he working on a planet shackled to some old redneck with a rotund belly? That stopped his whole vengeance.
He thought was Ron Jeremy.
So he said, fuck his whole planet? That guy was not Ron Jeremy, Joe. God damn it. Anyways,
Wishful
so
thinking.
then, but he's saying this stuff because the lady that showed up in the last 10 minutes of the film goes, yeah! When she sees Darius, Darian,
she's a big star.
Dies.
Jenna
she's
Malone.
a big star.
That's not Jenna Malone. Jenna Malone was the spider.
I don't know who Jenna Malone is.
Never mind. Then
and I don't know who this one lady is. But anyways, so then we're supposed to care about her for some reason because of her eyeshadow. And then Indian dude gives a speech who we've not spent any time with yet as a team or as a character, and we don't care. And then the general says,
not at all.
This is a small victory. It is the beginning of something. A bunch of nobodies took on and defeated the Imperium. Where did the fucking king's gaze go? Either the fake Corvette, small ship attachment, or the actual King's Gaze. We can't figure it out because the subtitles confused us.
I think he said. I think there was a scene where the admiral says, "I'm gonna go pick up the insurgents, and you go do something." I don't remember what he told the ship to do.
Okay.
So I think the King's Gaze is just somewhere else.
Yeah. So the subtitles were wrong there, and the subtitles were so specific. I saw one time where it's like Darian is firing his gun, and it's a big gun. And the subtitles actually says ARM-1357 starts firing or makes loud noise. I was like, wow, they're actually putting in the names of all their things in there. So you'd think that they got it right, but no, they said King's Gaze buckles. Anyways, then the general says this is the beginning of something. So this is the beginning of the rebellion. We don't see the rebel moon. The rebel moon is not in this film, and Zack has addressed that. He's like, the rebel moon is much later. It's not in this one. It may not even be in the last one or the next one. It might just show up at the end of the next one. Oh man, I can't wait for the rebel moon.
It's like Halo.
And then they go, are we still gonna get paid? And I'm like, what? With the 2,000 bushels? Because they only make 12,000 bushels.
Well, he said that, then everyone high fives a freeze frame.
And the community needs 10,000 of them to live, so there's only 2,000 that they could give them a bushels. Yeah, and then
Insert
the high
laughter.
five. And then as they show up on the planet and go towards the planet, they're like, this is a beautiful place to die. It's a shame that you killed that guy because this would have been a great place to fight at. It's like, yeah, that was the other
Don't think about
movie.
it, Alex.
And then the robot is watching on, and that is, I like the robot. He's now he has antlers, and I guess he's one with nature now because he had the flower head dress that he was given by the little girl, and now they're expanding on that or something. He's just been out there on his own with nature.
What did you think of?
I want that storyline. I want to know what that storyline is going to be. I think that all the robots are going to rise up and help them at the last minute fight against the Imperial.
The Jimmies. So so you're saying that the Imperium has rustled the Jimmies?
Yep.
And okay. So they have a spaceship, and they just like leave it at the big city. That's like 2-3 days right away. Why don't they just take the spaceship?
We take Kai's ship since Kai's dead.
Yeah, but why?
Wait, Kai died. How did Kai die?
Darian threw him off the platform and he splatted.
Oh, I thought it was Gunner.
Gunner
Oh,
shot him.
oh,
Gunner shot him
you're
in the
right,
head
you're
again.
right.
Bloodless thing where
The
you don't
spike,
get to see
it's
anything.
clean spike.
Yeah. But no, yeah. So they steal his ship and they go back home, but then they leave the ship at the city that's a couple days right away, and they ride back to the city on horses.
Because it's
Because
a
it's a
Western,
good
Alex.
shot.
Just stop it.
We
Stop
need
it,
a
Alex.
shot.
But
We
there's
need to- we
there's
need
a
to shut up.
tactical
Shut
advantage
up.
to have a
Then
spaceship when you're fighting a
Then
spaceship.
they find the admiral at the bottom of the planet. So apparently, when he fell off, it was only like a 3 feet fall, and she was like, "Oh, you're not dead yet." Boo boo. No, she doesn't do that. She just walks off because it's only a 3 feet fall because he's still alive.
She stabs him in the femoral artery and breaks both of his arms.
He's
That
still
fall,
alive.
though.
The fall would have killed him.
But it's on a
But he's
planet
found
with not
alive.
a lot of gravity.
So then he is put into a back to tank, and this is cool. The other thing I liked was this neuro tank, and so all these Adeptus
Demolition Man.
Mechanicus were like, all right, let's get him set up, and we're going to communicate with the region. So they hook him up in Matrix style and Christmas lights and everything, and then he goes into another
Lagoon.
astral plane that is in the snow and on a frozen lake, and for why the fucking regent keeps fucking hitting the ice with his cane for no reason to be an annoying little bitch pissed me the fuck off.
He wants to freak out the koi, the giant koi that are symbol under the symbol. Because
there was koi under there.
You didn't see they're like 40, 50 foot long koi under it.
And then he's like, all right, well, I'm going to assign you the task of defeating this insurgency.
But
Your original mission was to defeat this insurgency. You failed. So now I'm going to assign you the task to defeat this new insurgency and the old insurgency.
yeah, but you're not allowed to kill my adopted daughter because I want to kill my adopted daughter, which is the only
bring
way
her to me.
The only way the second movie works is if there's away teams, because otherwise the Dreadnought would just simply blow up their whole fucking planet, and then this whole thing would be over.
That's why he doesn't use the Dreadnought's
So
guns,
he's gonna
because he's gonna
have to walk off the thing
and get her.
and go get her.
Okay. And why does he look so bad with the fucking beard makeup and the hair and the old man makeup? Why did they have to do it like that? What's her name? Her bad guy name? Arthelius. You better care about her, because we are going into the next one, and then the next one is called Part 2, Scar Giver. And that's going to be on April 19th, I think, of next year. Can't wait. Can't wait.
I can.
You can wait?
I can wait.
I can wait. I feel like I can wait. I kind of want to see it just to see how much more, like, does it get better?
I think it'll get better.
And I obviously,
It
it has to get better, right?
Because I think the
Could
juice...
it get worse?
No, I don't. I mean, he'd have to completely. So, like, as much shit as I talk on Zack Synder, he does a couple things well, and I think that the big actiony sequence where they're setting up the ambush for the Imperium to come down, I think he's going to do an okay job because that is actually his wheelhouse. So I do think the second part will get better. But I honestly, if I were just a normal consumer, I wouldn't watch this one. I wouldn't watch the second one. I will wait until he comes out with rated R versions of both, and then just watch it there.
Yeah, it got messy towards the end, guys, and if he would have stuck closer to the Seven Samurai that he was doing and developed some of those characters and do that, then it would have worked. But I guess he's kind of split it. I guess we're about to do the Seven Samurai, and that's why they're alluding to it. This looks like a beautiful place to die. It seems like they're going to make a last stand at the fucking town, which is the storyline. So they just kind of cut it into two.
Yeah.
So and so now we're gonna have a whole movie of the bonding, a whole movie of the camaraderie, a whole movie of the final battle, and then fighting back. So that one we know and we feel like it's going to be better. So if you're mad at us for going 3 and 4. Stay tuned. The next one could be a 6. And then maybe the third one in the trilogy is an 8. And then we finally have something good. And it's made so much money and fame that he gets to do more. And we have a space opera. But I looked at Netflix and it debuted at number 3. It's not even the most popular thing on the Netflix thing. After all of that marketing, Super Mario Brothers is in front of it. And then that film about Elon Musk's Teslas slamming into each other is in front of it.
That's bad.
With Julia Roberts, some end of times movie or something. Yeah. So I don't know. Netflix is probably disappointed by that. They probably wanted Zack Snyder's $166 million budget at the front, and then they're spending a bunch more money on these other films. So will he even get the trilogy he wants, or will it stop at part 2? There's a chance that if it doesn't do well enough, they're just going to stop it at part 2.
Well, if he's going to release it again and they get double releases on this thing, maybe they're counting on getting 50% more views the second time around.
And Netflix has 2 things on there and already that's clever. Netflix, very clever.
Yeah, or they'll just raise our subscription costs again and then
Fucking bullshit.
Yeah, fun that. All right, guys, that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Did we forget anything that we need to mention, Alex, Joe? Anything else you want to mention?
The Admiral is fully lives. We didn't mention that he's alive. Yeah. They zap him, and he comes back to life, and he gets up and goes, ah!
So he's going to be fighting in the future, and I like him. He's one of the better parts of that series. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They didn't give him much to do at the end, except for be your stereotypical villain. But and I hate the Regent. He looks stupid, and I never want them to reach him. I want them to recast that guy. He sucks.
Not gonna happen.
Yeah, and I hope. And now we teased it at the beginning. Where do you think this is going? What do you think the Rebel Moon is? How are they going to defeat the Imperium? I think it ties into the robots. So there's going to be a robot uprising. That'll be a new faction. Then our faction, all across the galaxy, people are inspired and start the rebellion. The robots join them and they fight. And then they have a small incursion to the kingdom, to the Gothic Cathedral, and they murder the Regent.
Do you think that's in part 2?
Cora will murder the Regent in part 3. No, all of this is part 3.
Oh, yeah.
Part 2 just gets bigger. They have a last stand at the city with more ships and more warriors, and hopefully it's more like a badass space opera mixed with Seven Samurai because he's still leaning on that.
Yeah, I think 2 is going to be localized to their little village, them defending the village, and at the end of the movie, some line like it'll probably be Hansu again going, "We've inspired things.
Yes,
this is just the spark that ignites the thing." And then they talk about them needing to go defend other places, and their little motley crew will turn into a really big one, and then they go and then eventually fight the.
Because there clearly are other civilizations here. There's aliens in this universe. We didn't get to talk much about the tentacle alien, which I really like, where he talks through the guy and he's all zombie-like. Yeah. That's creative. I love that shit.
There's definitely not Twi'leks.
It's not Twi'leks in the universe. They're Xylax.
I thought you were talking about the one with the Admiral, like, I don't know.
Yeah, we mentioned that he's doing drugs and he's got all these little suction things on him. Though I think that's actually for the device where he communicates with the Regent.
Like after that, the little tentacle thing.
That sucks him off.
Yeah, he's like, oh, let me know when it's ready, and just like hugging him. And I was like,
yeah,
what the
that's
fuck?
what I'm talking about.
Oh, I thought you were talking about
the drugs and the tentacles and the little things for the device later on. All three of the things I'm talking about. What else?
And then there's the Lord Mon
I also
Octopussy.
think that this girl with the water is going to somehow be the new princess.
Sure.
Because she lit up the robot lights on him, and the robot saves her, and he says, you remind me of the princess, and so maybe they just choose her, and they fight for her. I don't know. That's a little wacky, but who else is going to fill the power void there? Korra? Is Korra going to be the new queen?
There won't be. They're going to give power to the Senate.
Power to the people, right. The Senate. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Even though the Senate does nothing what the people wants, just like real life. All right, moving on. Thank y'all guys so much, and we will see you on the next Angry Joe show. Bye, guys.